A new New Jersey Transit route is coming to Trains 2012 and possibly Trains a New Era. This route will take advantage of a lot of the features Trains 2012 has to offer, like trees that not only blow in the wind, but change color with each season. And because I pay very close attention to detail, it will also include certain details that you might not be able to see, like this RXR sign hidden in the trees. On the left are locomotives that will be featured on this route: the SW1500, the GP40 FH-2V, the OUT 46, the Comet car, the Comet IB cab car, the Comet 3 cab car, and the Comet 4 cab car, and the Comet 5 passenger car, or a close replication to it, the P40, the P40 DC, and the GP40. On the track to the right are stuff that I will be using as replacements to things I could not find. A BBO passenger car for the bi-level cars, because I couldn't find any real ones. So these are the closest replication I could find. The only real difference is the real bi-levels have the logo between the two sections of windows rather than underneath them. Also, they have additional doors on the left and right sides for high-level platforms. This Austrian locomotive repainted to look like an OUT 44 because I couldn't find an actual OUT 44. It actually looks almost like one. The only problem is the pantograph doesn't look like it. And when you try to change the pantograph, it becomes faulty. That also happened when I tried to change the horn and the engine sound. So unfortunately, I have to keep it the way it is. The Aero 1 instead of an Aero 3, because I couldn't find an Aero 3 anywhere, obviously. An F40PH instead of a GP40 FH, instead of an F40PH-2 cat. I'm not even really sure what one of those are. This P32 ACDM repainted for a New Jersey Transit because I couldn't find any, I think they're called OUT 45 DPs or something. It's kind of like an OUT 46, only it can also use diesel power. And apparently New Jersey Transit uses those for diesel powered lines that enter New York City. I'm also using this GP38-2 because even though New Jersey Transit doesn't have such a locomotive, it looks realistic enough to be believable. I'm using this Disneyland monorail instead of the Newark Airport monorail because I couldn't find one of those. I'm using the NF10 tram instead of the River Line and the New Jersey Transit Light Rail because I couldn't find any of those. I'm using an Amtrak AEM7 instead of the SEPTA one because even though on Trains 2009 you could repaint this to look like a SEPTA locomotive, when you try to do that on this game, it becomes faulty and doesn't appear. Also, even though I don't really want to, I'm using the only Acela Express in the entire world that not only does not have a digital speedometer, but it also does not have a cafe car. Because I care a lot about scenery, even the background trains like the freight trains which will be running in the background of the route have to meet very strict criteria before I can use them in this route, or even consider them. The first criteria they must meet is they have to have automatic running numbers. or at least the ability to put numbers on them. And the second criteria is the bogies have to have truck sounds. If they don't, they're automatically disqualified for this route. That's why, for the most part, I'm only using freight cars from jointed rail, because they all, or most of them, have this feature. The tank cars I'm slightly stricter on. They have to meet a third criteria. They have to have placards that actually are scripted so that when you put a specific hazmat inside it, it can actually tell what it is and display the proper placard. For example, if I were to fill this up with diesel fuel, this specific tank car can actually tell that there's diesel fuel inside it and display the proper placard for it. Now if I were to take the same freight car and fill it with phosphoric acid instead, it displays a different placard, a corrosive one. Also, now if I take this exact same freight car and fill it with corn oil, this time there's no placard because corn oil is not a hazmat. All the tank cars have to meet this criteria before they can be considered for the route. All the auto racks I'm also slightly stricter on. They have to have actual interiors like this one, this 89-foot one that I got from Jointed Rail. And they have to be see-through so that you can see that if there are or aren't any cars inside it. I'm also only using well cars like this one that you can actually put containers inside. The tracks also have to meet special criteria in order to be considered. So far, the only tracks that meet this criteria are jointed rail tracks.